All right, I don't do too many model reviews on my YouTube channel, but this one definitely warrants it. This is the first 1 to 200 scale CRJ200 that I've come across, and it wasn't from one of the major companies. It wasn't from a Gemini or JC Wings. It's from a small startup called HYJL Wings, and there's only been one retailer that I have been able to find that sells them, and that's Threshold Aviation out of Toronto, Canada. I was a little nervous. I'm always a little nervous straying away from the major companies, and but this was the only 1 to 200 scale CRJ200 I've seen. I decided it was worth the risk. I ended up buying 2 of them. They're both of the toothpaste kind of turquoise livery, but they are slightly different. The one on the right is the Air Canada Express Jazz version, and the one on the left is the Air Georgian version. The colors are identical, the registrations are different. There's 4 total options that you can choose from. They're all Air Canada versions. The other 2 that I did not buy was the Star Alliance version, and then the older red, white, and black version with the maple leaf on the tail as well. But let's get a little into one of these ones. So these models came in a little different presentation. They came in this wooden box, which was kind of neat. And then the wooden box, the model sits in the plastic case, and that all sits in the paper sleeve that goes around the box. Now inside the box that comes with the model, kind of neat, is a polishing cloth. And then there's also a card for each one saying which number out of 60 that it is, and a little bit of information on the actual aircraft, as well as a 1 to 400 ground foil. I'm not sure if that was just, they had a bunch of those sitting around. I kind of wish they'd had a 1 to 200 version instead. But as far as the presentation, it's real nice the way they come in. And over to the model itself, all in all, I was very relieved that the model came in a high quality printout. All the graphics are really nice. The paint seems to be the right color. And for the first, 1 to 200 scale CRJ200 mold, I think they did a really nice job on the model. There's a lot of detail across the fuselage, the wings, the engine, the wheels. I would say this model is almost on par with a Gemini, JC Wings, or In-Flight 200, one of those major companies, as far as the detail. All right, you got a lot of the stuff. They got the Star Alliance logo. You've got the Jazz. This is the Jazz version of the 2. A lot of wing detail. The edges are silvered or chromed. And then even looking down the engine, there's some pretty decent engine detail as well. So they really didn't skimp on a lot of the details, which I was happy with. Now there were 2 little things that I wasn't as impressed with. One of them was kind of major. So on both these models I bought, when I opened them up, I noticed that the antenna, and there's 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom, if you can see in the zoom here. And on both models, there was only really 1 antenna that was left on the model. It was just kind of sitting in. I was able to pull it in and out with my finger. And luckily, on all of them, I ended up finding the antenna sitting in the box, so at least they didn't fall out of the box, and I ended up having to glue in on both models all 6 total of the antenna. I don't think that was a fluke. I think that's probably just they don't have a very good finishing process for the antenna, because as I was doing my previous version of this video, I also noticed that there's an extra antenna sitting in the box that I could not find where it goes. I don't think it goes on my models at all, because each model I just double checked has the 2 on the top and the 1 on the bottom. The only other tiny little detail, I think the model sits a little high off the ground, especially the nose. See how the struts are kind of extended? It's almost like it's in flight, and maybe that's what they were going for. But for me, keeping them at my airport, sitting on the tarmac, they probably should be sitting a little bit lower. All right, and speaking of sitting on my tarmac, here's the Air Georgian version. Surrounded by a lot of my GSE. Got my baggage carts, my covered air stair, GPU up front, fuel truck on the side. And like I said, the color on these two is identical, even though one is Air Georgian and one is Jazz. If you're in the market for a CRJ200, I highly recommend this company. Remember, they're only making 60 of each, so I don't know how long they're going to go for. Really hoping that they'd up to make some US carrier versions later on down the road, maybe like a Delta, United, or American CRJ200. But for now, I'm happy with my Air Canada versions. There you go.